when we want it badly enough, when it's the only thing we can think about, when nothing else will do, that's when we're capable of achieving so much more. And that's what's ahead on this episode of the Educators Among Us podcast.
Welcome to the Educators Among Us podcast, where we share motivational messages and inspiring stories for and about educators. Your host, Scott Barron, is author of the critically acclaimed book, Love 'Em and Lead 'Em, and provides powerful insights and wisdom for those who heed the call to teach, coach, lead, and serve at all levels of education.
This is Scott Barron, and I'm really honored to be your host for the Educators Among Us podcast. We love to share perspective and stories and tools and maybe some guidance that could be used by those who serve in all levels of education. It takes a team. It takes a lot of very talented people who they not only understand the job, but they also keep a perspective. They learn how to navigate through all the conflict and sometimes the accomplishments and sometimes just the tensions and the friction that comes with this work. And they still find joy in it. And there are some people who they figure that out, and we're hoping more can do that, because this is hard work without that joy. It tends to kind of drain us and it becomes exhausting. And especially as we reach towards the end of the school year, man, that it gets to that point of almost that B word, right? The burnout. And I hate to see that in schools, because the impact of educators is so profound. And we know that we take that seriously, right? We're very committed to the power that we have as educators, and wanting to speak an inspiration, a perspective, and hopefully a love for learning into those that we influence. Sometimes it's other adults, sometimes it's younger students, sometimes it's parents, right? There's all kinds of folks that we come into contact with in our work. And we have a real opportunity to leverage that power that we have to make a life-changing difference. And so we're grateful for your commitment to that work, and that you have a clarity about what you want, right? I mean, what do you want? It's an interesting thing. It's like many aspects of communications and words that we say. The meaning of that question, it depends on the tone of voice, right? The timing, the context, right? What do you want? That's different than what do you want, or what do you want? The emphasis changes the meaning, right? What do you really, really want, as the song says, right? If you walk up to the counter at the Varsity in Atlanta, right, they'll ask a different question. They'll say, "What do you have?" And you got to be ready. I mean, you got to be, because the line is long and time's a ticking. We got to go, right? What do you have, right? What do you want? And that's an interesting thing that we have to consider in our role as educators, right? Because some wants are temporal. They're kind of in the moment. They're just things that we kind of feel at that time. But some are long term, and they're life changing, right? So we have to kind of think about, what do we want? All achievement, no matter what its nature or purpose, it must begin with an intense, burning desire for something definite. This is Napoleon Hill, right? Anything significant that's been achieved, it became a reality because someone had a fire, because someone had a burning desire for something not just vague, not just something that maybe kind of, sort of, but they knew what they wanted. It was something that was definite, right? What do you want? That's an especially important question to ask, at certain defining moments in life, right? For example, when you're first meeting a young man at the door who is picking up your daughter, you kind of want to ask, what do you want? Because I want to understand your intentions. I want to know what the plan is here, buddy. And I know with my daughters, I had that meeting, I had that real powerful powwow moment to clarify our expectations together. What do you want when hiring an educator who will influence students and represent the school? What do you want? It's important to understand those intentions and see whether we're aligned or not. How about when convening with upset parents where the emotions have far surpassed reason, right? What do you want? Where do we want to go? When we're finished with this conversation, what do you want? Right? Understanding motivation is a vital way to assess how decisions will be made, right? It's how closely does their internal drive, their internal motivations, their goals, how closely does that match up with our external expectations, right? For what we have out here, I need to know kind of what's going on in there, right? What do you want? It's an interesting thing to continue to kind of think about together, because making our desires public sometimes has risks, right? We may be embarrassed. We may be held accountable. We may give up. Life is an ongoing process of choosing. Right? It's choosing between safety and risk for the sake of progress and growth. That's Abraham Maslow, right? Life is an ongoing process of choosing. What do we want? Wants are individual and they're also collective, right? Our organizational culture, whether in a school system, in a learning organization, regardless of where you are, right? Our organization's culture is predictive of the energy and the desire for excellence. I mean, what are we thinking about? What do we want? So many schools and systems are devoutly designed using disincentives to lead. They're literally designed to suck the energy out, to limit people, right? With exhausting bureaucracy and rampant conflicts of interest and even confused goals. Who's in charge? What do we want? What are we held accountable to? I've asked many leaders over this last quarter as they're wrapping up their school year. When you reach the end of this year, will you have won? Can we all agree that we know whether we won or we didn't win? That's an important question you need to be able to answer as a leader and with your team, right? Would we rate this as a scale of 1 to 10? Did we achieve our goals? Was this a 10 year, or was this a 7 or a 5 or a 3? Right? Can we agree on how we're going to keep score? That's an important part of building culture. Those collective expectations, those collective desires, they make a big difference. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt, they dominate the culture due to the risks involved. When we have disincentives built into our model, right? The FUDs, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, they dominate. They take over. They take away the joy of people are in survival mode. They form silos and they form alliances because we don't even know what we want. What do we want? Wisdom leads us to honestly evaluate the incentives used with colleagues as well as with students to ensure alignment with progress and growth. That's what we promise, right? We're promising as a part of a school that, hey, we're going to help you grow. We're going to help you accomplish your goals. What do you want? What do we want? Hey, may he grant you your heart's desire and fulfill all your plans. From Psalm 20, verse 4. As David writes there, he says, hey, may the Lord bless your plans. May he give you your heart's desire. Hopefully you know what you want, right? Because we become remarkably more productive when we're clear about what we want, right? That's that point where he says, it's not just kind of vaguely knowing what you want. It's something that's distinctive. It's specific, right? Indecision is an energy drain, right? When we don't know what we want, it takes all the energy and the momentum out of our bodies, out of our teams, out of our schools, right? Because every situation requires reconsideration and renegotiation, and it just gets to these endless cycles of no real decisions, just contention and trying to find some form of consensus. And that's a tough way to lead, right? Yet, such motivating certainty, right? When we know what we want, it remains rare. It's hard to find people who they do know what they want, and they're willing to navigate through the demanding expectations of achievement. They're willing to work at it. They have a persistence. They have a resilience, right? It's hard to find that, right? Some find inspiration for their desire in the beauty of creation. They see the things that are happening around them. I love to go to the ocean or to the mountains or to see different things in creation, and they could be inspiring. Sunsets particularly. Tammy and I love going to take pictures at sunset, and it's something that's really special. However, there's others opt to delight in the creator, right? You can delight in the creation and see a lot of inspiration there, but man, get connected to the creator, game changer, right? Because that's when you experience the greatest level of love, of joy, and of peace. You get to choose, right? Life is full of choices. So may great clarity invade your life this week. May you see what you really want. May you decide what you really, really want, and then get your act together, as the song says, right? Get your act together. Get going, right? Because that's what it takes. Great achievement always happens from that burning desire, that desire that's willing to practice discipline. We're willing to work at it. We're willing to stick with it. It's that desire that overcomes the fatigue. We're going to get tired. We all do. We all hit those moments of friction. We just kind of get tired of fighting. And yet, because of that burning desire, we fight on. We keep going, right? And we need people around us, as we've shared previously. We need people around us that will provide those words of encouragement, that will provide that guidance, because we're going to hit those points, right? That desire that actually attracts others. It becomes attractive because they realize, oh, I get that. I want to be a part of that effort. That's worth it. And hopefully that's something that you're able to find in your day this week and in your life, because it's such a compelling and exciting life to live. What do you want? A coaching question to consider as you're going through this week. Did I do my best to know what I want today? Did I do my best to know what I want today? Love him and lead him, my friend. This is Scott.
Thank you for joining us for the Educators Among Us podcast and for your courageous commitment to this noble calling. We get you and the challenges of this work. To stay connected with this community, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and weekly encouragement at educatorsamongus.com.